1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series. 5-1 the final tonight.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Sox in 4 podcast, episode 19, coming at you. Days away from the season. I'm Dan Allison here with Dylan McDonald, and we're going to talk
guys?
We're going to talk about everything that is in store with this chaotic 60-game season. So, Dylan, I guess we'll just jump right into it. I mean, 60 games. We haven't really talked about it yet. We haven't had an episode in a while. Let's get your thoughts. What do you think?
I'm happy baseball's back. You know, it's been so long. I mean, I was at spring training in February, which is nice, but then everything shut down. So it's just been a long few months. So I'm just happy they figured it out. I mean, if you asked me 2-3 weeks ago, it looked like there wasn't going to be a season at all. So I mean, I'm happy the players finally agreed on something, you know, and yeah, we have baseball back. That's all that matters. Whether there's fans in the park or there's no fans at all, I'm just happy to do baseball on TV to watch.
Yeah,
sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. You know, it might be very different, and you know, we're not very used to this new format that we have to use in 2020. But baseball is baseball at the end of the day. And you know, with the scrimmages now on ESPN and it's real season only days away, of course there's going to be bumps in the road, but you know, baseball fans across America, we're just happy that the game is back and about to get into full swing. So it is July 20th. We have some news right before the season starts. We got some MLB news across the league. First, coming out of Boston, of course, the Sox in 4 podcast, we had to touch on this. Collin McHugh, one of our new arms in the bullpen, has opted out of the 2020 season. He has reported that his arm is not in the condition that he wanted it to be, so he decided to withdraw. This move by Collin wasn't, I can't really hate on that. You know, if your arm isn't feeling good, you might as well sit the season out because there's going to be no use sitting in the bullpen or being in the rotation. Dylan, what did you think when you heard this news?
You know, I agree. I think it was good for him to choose to sit out the season, which means he'll be healthy next year, hopefully in a Red Sox uniform. You know, I'm going to try and stay positive, since we're going into a new season here. We have a very good team offensively. I don't know. I think the starting rotation is a little concerning, though, just looking at it. I mean, you're missing Collin McHugh. Chris Sale's he has Tommy John surgery, so he's not going to play this season. You know, we lost David Price, too. So, yeah, it's just a little concerning. You know, I thought he was going to be able to pitch this year, but it's just not the case.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was scheduled to be another relief arm, but you know, with the state of the Red Sox pitching, you really don't know who's going to be thrown into the rotation and thrown into the pen. But yeah, it's really, you can't hate on McHugh for this move, but it does hurt the Red Sox a lot because you're losing a key arm in a staff that is already very thin and weak, as the Red Sox are more of an offensive team as they've lost pitchers as the years have gone on. So, yeah, I'm kind of concerned going into the season. Other news, Nate Eovaldi. Really the only notable name left on the rotation will be your opening day starter. I'm not sure the rest of the rotation. I know Brian Johnson's going to be in there, Perez, or yeah, honestly, I'm blanking. So we got Zach
Martin
Godley.
Perez, yeah.
Yeah, Martin Perez. I'm blanking on names, which is a concerning thing to do. Only days away from the season. So yeah, tons of concerns about the bullpen and the rotation. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a rebuild year. you don't even know. I mean, we might see some of the bullpen guys starting on a nightly basis. I mean, you might eventually see, Brandon Workman coming out and starting a game for a few innings. We're just gonna have to score some runs this year. That's all there is to it. We're playing some really good teams too. I mean, we start off the season pretty easy with the Orioles, but then you have the Yankees, the Mets, and then we go on to play. So the way it works this year is they're going to play a lot of the East Coast teams. So they're going to play the AL East and the NL East. So, there's some really good teams we're going to have to play this year. So we're going to really need the bats this year for sure. We're pretty good though offensively. I mean, Alex Verdugo, he can hit the ball. We still have Bogarts, Devers, pretty much the whole squad from last year. So they can put up runs. It's just, I'm not really liking how the way our rotation's looking so far.
Yeah.
But I think the bullpen's going to be better than the starting rotation this year. I actually have faith in the bullpen. You have Brazier, Matt Barnes. They're all good pitchers. Heath Embry, Walden, Brandon Workman. I mean, that's a solid bullpen right there. I don't know what you think, but that's how I feel. I'm excited for the bullpen this year. I'm excited for the lineup. I think we're going to have a good team, but it's going to be hard to compete without that starting rotation that we had, back in 2018 and even last year as well.
Yeah, I agree. Luckily the season is shortened, so you have to worry less about stamina in your pitcher's arms and, injuries. But, if you don't have rotation, it's going to be tough to compete, especially with the Sox schedule. As you said, running into the NL East, you got these heavy-hitting teams, the Phillies, the Nationals, the Braves. Luckily we get to play the Marlins, which is basically playing the Orioles again. But besides that, it's no easy task for the 60-game schedule. And, it should be interesting to see what happens as we get underway. In other news,
our ace this year is Eduardo Rodriguez. He's really proved it the past couple of years, so I'm really excited to see him pitch. But he's going to be out the first week because he got diagnosed with coronavirus. He's all good. He's feeling better, but just for precautionary reasons, he hasn't been with the team. So it'll be good to have him back. Hopefully, he'll pitch either versus the Yankees or the Mets in the second or third series. But
yeah, perfect transition because in other Sox news, like you said, Erod, he's coming back from his COVID-19 quarantine, as you would say. We found out about about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Obviously, he won't be ready for opening day, but he will join the team not too soon after, about a week in. But it opens up a interesting discussion point of, COVID is running around this country. It's like if one of your key players, it could be a key starting pitcher in your rotation or one of your star hitters. If they get a positive test, they're out of the lineup for not just a couple games, but two weeks minimum. In a 60-game season, that's a lot of time. So, I feel like that's the biggest thing to watch out for. Dylan, what do you think about this?
I really like the Major League Baseball's approach, though. They have them getting tested, every 2 days. The players are being really good about it, too. I see them wearing masks, even like going into the dugout, going into the clubhouse, they're all wearing masks. So they're being very safe about it. And I think if they keep doing that, if they keep getting tested every 2 days, they keep wearing masks, around the ballpark and in the clubhouse, and even in the bench, like the coaches will be wearing it, the umpires will be wearing them. I think we're in pretty good shape for the season. I'm not really too concerned about like big outbreaks, breaking out amongst the teams. So I really like their approach. They really thought this through. It was worth the 3-month wait. We finally have baseball back now. So
yeah, it's definitely interesting because the MLB is the only league not in the bubble. NHL is up in Canada with the bubble, NBA down in Disney World. So, when we heard they weren't going into a bubble-type atmosphere, it kind of concerned me. Starting off, I was like, this isn't really the safest option, I feel like, because you'd still be traveling around the country. But what I've seen through summer camp so far is MLB has handled COVID tests and staying safe a lot better than I thought they would have.
Yeah, originally they were talking about like they were having delays with the testing. They weren't getting their test results back. But I mean,
Exactly.
even though we're not in the bubble, they did a really good job with the schedule too. I mean, I don't know. I feel really good about this season. Like I said, we have those tough teams in the NL East, but they don't have to travel too far either. I mean, they're only going up and down the East Coast, and then I mean, who knows what they're going to do in October for the playoffs?
Yeah, even if we can even get there.
Yeah, we can't even talk about what's going to happen in a week from now. So
yeah, prepare for the unpredictable. So yeah, that wraps up the Sox news for right now. We will dabble back into it as the show goes on. In the other latest MLB news, the Sox AL East rival, the Toronto Blue Jays, are without a home for the 2020 season. Canada has announced that they are not allowed to play their regular season games in the Rogers Center up in the 6. Toronto is looking at, the AAA facility out in Buffalo, or they're going to go all the way down to Florida in their spring training facility. It's been a weird conversation to have about Toronto because, you're days away from the season and you don't have. It's not like some teams where it's like, oh, we're missing a player. Oh, he's not here right now. It's like we don't have our stadium. We're missing our stadium. So
right.
It's been a really weird situation. What do you think about it, Dylan?
Right. I mean, we didn't find out about this till like 2 or 3 days ago. I mean, MLB. What was it? July 1st. I'm pretty sure we found out that we were going to have a season this year. And it took this long for Canada to finally tell them, oh, you can't play in Toronto this year. I mean, I'm also thinking of packing up all my stuff and moving to Canada because Canada's like, think of how safe it is in Canada compared to the United States right now.
I mean,
so I honestly don't I see why they're doing it, but it's such an inconvenience for the team and the players. Like that's really gotta hurt. I mean, even the players, what are they gonna? They're gonna have to stay in a hotel for like a month until they find a new place to live. It's like
exactly. Yeah, it's a really weird situation because most of those players don't even live in Canada to start off with. So,
right.
You have to get up there. You have summer camp in the Rogers Center, and the next thing you know, oh, we got to relocate again. Which it's so weird. I agree with you where I see why Canada did it. Obviously, Canada is a lot safer than the U.S. right now, and they don't want to have teams coming in and out with their germs. But why right now? Why can you tell us on July 1st and not 5 days out from the season?
They already had the reverse truck day a few weeks ago. They're going to have to throw everything back in the truck again.
They're going to have to ship everything Amazon Prime Express.
Yeah.
Ship it down to Buffalo or New York.
I think I really do. I mean, they still don't even 3 years later. We still don't know where they're going to play. I think their best bet's Buffalo, but I mean, they also have a ballpark in Manchester, New Hampshire too. So
I was on Twitter last night. I replied to the Fisher Cats. I was like, "Yo, you guys should let the Blue Jays stay in New Hampshire. I would love to see Toronto come to New England for a season. That'd be pretty sick.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, it's really it's not even 50 to an hour most to Boston. So I mean, even if they were playing the Red Sox, it's a nice quick drive for them. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's just such an inconvenience. I mean, hopefully they don't have to push the season back or anything because of it. But
yeah, I don't know. It's a
weird situation that's going on.
So that about wraps up the latest news in the MLB. We do have some live scrimmages going on as we record this, so we will get news about that as the night goes on and afterwards. But I feel like it's about time we got into our predictions. We haven't really dove into our predictions and what we think about the 2020 season, not just health-wise, but actually baseball-wise. So we're going to go division by division. Which one should we start with?
You got to start with the AL East.
Yeah, I agree. So AL East, I think it's pretty clear that you got to put New York number one.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not just contending for the AL East title, but the World Series title, heavy favorites. So, I mean, I feel like they're going to win it far and away, even with Tampa Bay, making noise down there in Florida. But the rest of the division gets pretty interesting because, you have Tampa that's been, scratching on the wild card door the last couple seasons. You have the Red Sox, have kind of spun out after the World Series in 2018. Toronto's trying to become relevant again with their young core, and then so you have these three teams that are kind of trying to find their position, and then obviously we have Baltimore at the bottom. We won't really have to talk about them, but Dylan, what do you think about Toronto, Tampa Bay, and Boston this year?
I honestly, I've been looking at like predictions from other reporters. I saw the Red Sox all the way down at fourth, which I don't really like that. I think we're definitely better than Toronto for sure. Toronto, they still have a young team. I mean, they're still pretty much in the rebuilding process as well. It's going to be very close, though, between Boston and Tampa. Two very good teams. The Rays, pretty good pitching. Red Sox have solid offense. So the Red Sox just need to score some runs this year. That's all we have to do. I think it's going to be really close, though. I see the Yankees, unfortunately, running away with the division. So I think the wild card's going to be very close, though, between Boston and Tampa. We'll have to see, but I like both teams. So
yeah, I think the main thing for the Red Sox this year is consistency. You're gonna have some troubles with your pitching, but if you can keep your offense consistent and have a mediocre pitching, at least they'll be able to find some success this season. I feel like, especially with the expanded playoff bracket. If you just have a winning record, you're basically in contention still. So, it's going to be interesting to see that. Toronto, even with the emergence of Bo Bichette and Vladdy Jr., I still don't think they're about ready to hop into the playoff race.
Yep.
I do think they're going to improve, from last season. As they get a full year with Bo, Vlad, and Cavan Biggio. But their pitching just isn't there yet. They have a lot of holes to fill, so maybe in the coming years. But Tampa Bay, I think they're going to be there. I do agree with you where Tampa and Boston are going to go back and forth in the 2 spot. I do see Tampa squeezing out the 2 spot, but I wouldn't be shocked if Boston took it as well. So it's really a back and forth race in that department.
Right, and we were talking about how hard the Red Sox schedule is too, but these other teams, the Yankees, the Toronto, they all have the same exact hard schedule as we do. I mean, it's going to be really tough for like Boston and Tampa especially to be able to go out and beat the Atlanta Braves. Like, that is a very strong NL East.
Yeah.
The defending champs, the Nats, and the Phillies are even going to be good this year too. Bryce Harper's ready to play this year, so it's going to be very tough.
That's true, because you've seen in years past where it's like, oh well, the Yankees have a 4-game series against Baltimore. Well, we have to go play, on a West Coast road trip against the Dodgers.
Right.
It's like that's how big leads in divisions start. So, when you're playing these same teams, I feel like you're not going to be able to get those leads that you would in a normal season.
It's weird, too. It's like we don't even see the AL Central this year. I mean, Cleveland's not too far. Like, who else in the AL Central? Chicago is not too far, but we don't see them at all this year. So,
yeah,
definitely a tough schedule for sure.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good transition into the AL Central. Obviously, a lot weaker than it has been in years past. Something we both agreed on before the show is Minnesota looks like a powerhouse up there in the AL Central. I think they're easily the number 1 contender for the division title. But what are your predictions for the AL Central?
I agree. My prediction actually for the championship series was Yankees and Twins this year. So I really see Minnesota running away with that division. They have a really good lineup. I mean, they can hit home runs all day. That's what they do. Um, but I think the White Sox are going to be pretty good this year too. I mean, they have a very young team, but they're making their way back up to the top of the division. So
Mm-hmm.
the Red Sox have some teams to compete with for the wild card. They compete with Cleveland. They'll have to compete with the White Sox. There's just a bunch of teams that we're gonna have to compete with this year. So, Red Sox really got to go out and score some runs, like I've been saying.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely Minnesota up at number one, but I do agree with you about the White Sox. Another young team, kind of like Toronto, but I do see a lot of potential in their pitching staff this year. Obviously, Lucas Giolito, one of the biggest studs of the 2019 season last year, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, they added Dallas Keuchel, former Cy
Yep.
Young winner from Houston. So that adds a lot of depth. These young teams. We were talking about Toronto, where they don't really have the pitching to hold up with that young offense. Chicago has a young offense, but they also have these headline pitchers that could, do some damage as well. So I feel like they have just the right balance to maybe, plunge themselves into the wild card conversation.
Right. And then even Cleveland's going to be a good team too. Cleveland's been a good team for years.
That's true.
They also have very good pitching. They have Shane Bieber. He's a stud. They have my opinion, the best coach in baseball, Terry Francona.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Cleveland has kind of, fell off since their 2016 World Series appearance, but they've been kind of up and down, about in the middle, kind of an average team. I wasn't riding too high on them, in the normal season, but for a 60-game season, I do think they have enough to compete.
Right.
Especially, you're playing the Tigers a lot. So I feel like they'll be able to beat up on them. So, I feel like they'll be able to manage. So next we move out west to the AL West. I feel like this is an interesting conversation because even with the scandals and the cheating, Houston would, in my book, is still number one. But I feel like maybe due to all this, locker room drama due to the cheating, that Oakland maybe can slide past Houston for that number one spot. What do you think?
I agree with you. Oakland's another team that's going to be fighting for the wild. They're going to be it's going to be very close between Oakland and Houston. One team's going to go to the wild card, one team's going to win the division. That's the way I see it. Going back to the Houston Astros though, I really think they're going to have they're not going to have the greatest season this year. I just feel like it's just not there with them. They got caught up in that whole scandal thing, and they're going to be the most hated team in baseball. So I mean, we'll have to see. Jose Altuve, Bregman. We'll have to see if they come out with a chip on their shoulder, because if they don't, then they're going to have a lot of trouble this year.
That's
so it's
true.
Very interesting. It could go either way, but they really have to come out and prove it this year, I think, to be able to win the division. They're going to have to work for it.
I feel like it could really go back and forth where it's like, yeah, we have that chip on our shoulder. We want to prove to the people that, we're not cheaters. We can win legit. Or it can, take a turn for the worse where it's like, the cheating and, all these allegations get in the way of, the locker room kind of messes up the chemistry. Oakland, they've been consistent over the last couple of years making wild card appearances, but the pitching really hasn't improved enough. They still have Mike Fiers out there, leading the staff, but besides that, kind of slim in the pitching department. Obviously, they have the offense to keep up with the big dogs like Houston and New York. You have Marcus Semien, Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Chris Davis. But besides that, if you're in a wild card situation, you don't really have a go-to pitcher to put on the bump. So, but yeah, Houston and Oakland should really go at it. LA, the Angels, maybe they can slide into one of those expanded playoff spots. I don't see Seattle doing much this season. I know they have some young guns coming up through the minors that we should keep our eye out for. But in terms of the playoffs, they're not going to do much. The Texas Rangers in the AL West, with their new stadium, they have Kluber now, but I feel like they're in the kind of the same boat where they're not really quite there. They're in a kind of a in-between phase. So yeah.
Right, I agree with you on that too.
All right.
Good points.
Moving over into the National League, let's go east to west again. The NL East. We were talking about them with the Sox schedule. As we said, it's a jam-packed division. Besides Miami, everyone really, is a very competitive team. I do see Atlanta topping all of them once again. I feel like they have the pitching to hold up. Mike Soroka. They can, if they hold up on that end, it's basically all they need to do because their offense is such a powerhouse that, it won't be hard to put up runs for them. The Nationals, obviously, World Series champs, but not reigning division champs. I feel like they're going to have some struggles this year. It's tough to rebound off a World Series winning season. And then Philadelphia and New York are kind of just going to be in the middle, up and down through the 60-game season. So what do you think, Dylan?
Right, I really see Atlanta running away with the division, but you're right. Like the Nationals are definitely going to have like some struggles this year, and then it's very important that the Red Sox go out and win these games because, especially the Nationals, the Red Sox should be able to beat them. Same thing with the Phillies. They're going to be mediocre, but the Red Sox they have to win those games. Those are important games to win because if they don't, then they're just going to lose the division. They're not even going to make the wild card. But they have to take advantage of those mediocre teams that they're going to play, and they really have to prove themselves and beat them this year.
Yeah, exactly. I do think Philadelphia is a team we have to keep our eye on because just like how Washington overperformed last season, I think Philadelphia underperformed. So I feel like they're looking to bounce.
You're
back
right. It's that's what I'm trying to say. It's a very unpredictable division because Atlanta pretty much won the division last year, but it was just crazy what the Nationals did in the playoffs. I mean, no one saw them even making it to the World Series, let alone winning that. So
yeah,
you got to watch out because I have a feeling the Phillies are gonna. I think the Phillies will be able to beat the Nationals this year too.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the most unpredictable division in baseball. That's for sure. So let's move to the middle of the country, NL Central. Who won this last year? The Brewers.
Yeah, I believe
or were the Brewers in the? Let me think. No, yeah, the Brewers were in the wild card game against the Nationals.
Yeah. They were in the wild card. And
then, yeah,
we're rusty. It's been 9 months without baseball.
October 2019 feels like 20 years ago. So
if you asked me in March, I would have had the answer right on top of my head.
It's a whole different mindset right now. We've seen Milwaukee and Chicago battle back and forth in that rivalry. Oh wait! St. Louis won that last year. Remember?
Right, they did.
There we go. Took some time, but St. Louis won. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Chicago and Milwaukee have kind of headlined it. St. Louis obviously made a run for the division last year, kind of out of nowhere in a way. And now you have Cincinnati. People are riding high on the Reds this year. I feel like they've made the key additions to at least compete with their division. So I feel like everyone, except for probably Pittsburgh, is worth talking about in the division conversation. What do you think?
I agree. The NL Central is a very fun division to watch. Anytime any of those teams are playing each other, It's always a great matchup. It's always you usually get like a low scoring game with really good pitching. So it's a fun division to watch for sure. I honestly think St. Louis is going to win it again this year. Just after what they did last year, I think it's going to give them a little boost going into the season this year. But it's very unpredictable because all four of those teams are going to be good. The Reds are going to be better than they were last year. The Reds proved themselves a lot last year, but they weren't good enough as I think they will be this year. And, the Cubs are always a strong team too. So it's another unpredictable division, but I definitely have to give it to St. Louis this year.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with you in that sense where St. Louis is definitely, they're going to be strong again this year, but I feel like it's so unpredictable. But the things we can predict is that definitely this division is going to send it more than one team to the playoffs. I feel like it's just these teams are too good for only the division leader to get in. I feel like definitely watch out for the wild card for whoever doesn't win the division. I feel like Milwaukee is gonna have a better time than they did last year. They kind of spun out at the end of 2019, obviously with that wild card loss. I feel like they're gonna be the main competitor to St. Louis. I feel like Chicago is gonna take a step back.
Definitely.
And then Cincinnati is definitely, they're kind of unpredictable, but I definitely would label them as wild card material. So now let's go to the West NL West. Obviously, the LA Dodgers, the easy pick for number one. But it's still worth talking about the rest of the division. Obviously, the Giants aren't what they used to be, but you still have the Padres, Arizona, and Colorado to talk about. And they could all be wild card contenders as well. What do you think, though?
I think I have to put Colorado as my number two. They have a really good team, but they haven't done as much. They haven't competed as much as they should. I mean, they should have went a lot further last year than they did. I just think they have a good team offensively, and they do have solid pitching too. But you got to watch out because the Padres are a really good team as well.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like people are sleeping on Arizona a little too much. Obviously, they haven't reached the playoffs since 2017, since their wild card win. I feel like they've retooled to the point where they're definitely in wild card contention. Obviously, Ketel Marte went crazy last year, his first All-Star appearance in 2019. They added Cole Calhoun. They have a couple of, depth guys in there, solid bats, but they also added Bumgarner. They also got Robbie Ray there, Archie Bradley in the bullpen. I feel like, besides maybe Ketel Marte, the Arizona team is just one big team. Not one player kind of stands out as the star. They're just one solid unit. So I feel like they're definitely in the contention to be number two. San Diego, as we said, they're a young team, obviously with Tatis out there, Machado. Kind of like Colorado, their pitching was the downfall of them making noise in the NL West. But I feel like they're going to improve this season. I feel like those three teams are definitely going to go up and down in the standings all season long. So another one, I wouldn't say too unpredictable like the NL East, but it's definitely they're going to be very competitive.
Yeah, I find it very hard to make predictions this year because it's going to be a fun year of baseball, even though it's 60 games, because there are so many good teams in the league this year. It's unbelievable. It's going to be so I can't wait for when the wild card races come up because in both divisions you have so many teams that are going to be making runs for the wild card.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's interesting how it's a lot of interleague play too, so that's going to have a lot to do with it. I have a feeling the NL Central is just going to beat up on the American League Central whenever they play each other. Yeah. I have a feeling that's going to happen. There's a lot to think about this year just because of everything going on, the different schedule. So it's going to be a fun year for sure. That's why I'm so excited because there's so many good teams. It's going to be great games on TV every night, even though there's no fans.
Yeah, I agree totally. Except for the AL Central, where they're weaker compared to the other divisions. Every division basically only has one bad team, and then the rest, they're basically, they can do damage. So I agree with you on that point where, it's very unpredictable. We're in store for some very exciting baseball to come in the coming months. So yeah, we're definitely amped to have it back. So that wraps up the predictions, season predictions for the divisions. I think we'll do World Series predictions and MVPs at the end of the show. Now we should move into our fantasy baseball / pick'em. So for the first week of the season, we're gonna pick a outfielder, infielder, and a starting pitcher. Who you think is going to perform well in the first week of the season, or until we have the next episode. So Dylan, I'll let you go first.
I know you don't like to hear this, but for outfield, I picked Mookie Betts. So are we doing like each AL and national, or just like one player in the whole league?
Just one. Just one.
Okay, so I definitely think it's going to be Mookie Betts. I actually think he's going to be an MVP candidate this year too. I really think surprisingly, everyone, Red Sox fans are saying, "Oh, Mookie's not enjoying himself in LA. He doesn't like it there." He's just still trying to fit in, but I think he's going to fit in well, and he's going to really perform this year. He's going to have a really good season. So definitely watch out for the Dodgers this year because, Mookie Betts, you've been saying it, he's like pretty much one of the best players in baseball. So I think he's going to really start the season hot this year.
I mean, that's a solid pick right there. Can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah.
For my outfielder pick, I'm going to go Ronald Acuna Jr. I feel like, just like Mookie, he's definitely in the NL MVP conversation. He basically headlines that Atlanta team, that powerful offense. He also has a great glove in center field. I feel like he's in contention to lead the NL in home runs, which is, not something that you can do every day how young is he? He's like under 25, which shows how quickly he's emerged to the top of the MLB. I feel like it's only a matter of time till he gets an MVP, and I think this year is going to be the year. So I won't be surprised when he gets out to a hot start when the season starts.
Hard to disagree with you there.
Yeah. So now let's move into the infield. I'll let you pick your infielder.
Definitely Bogarts. I'm not trying to be biased here picking the Red Sox, but I really like his Bogarts. I think he's going to lead the offense this year, sort of like he did last year. He can hit the ball pretty much anywhere. He loves to hit the ball. He may not hit 30, 40 home runs for you, but he's going to get base hits. He's going to drive runs in, so that's all you need. I think he's going to definitely lead the offense again this year alongside JD Martinez. But I think last year, he was unbelievable the way he was hitting the ball.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to carry into this year.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a safe pick, especially because the Red Sox are playing Baltimore to start off, so he could definitely get off to a hot start against some low-quality pitching. I feel like I won't be surprised if he's the one leading the Red Sox offense in numbers this season. He's definitely a headliner for that. For my pick, I think I'm going to go same position, same division, but different team, obviously. Bo Bichette, I feel like it's only a matter of time before this young kid, takes off into the baseball world. We saw him come up last season, and he didn't waste any time, taking over that team in Toronto. I feel like he's going to get off to a really good start. I feel like he's going to be the best of the three young stars they have there on the Blue Jays. And he's going to do some damage in week 1. So now the final pick, the starting pitchers. So, Dylan, it's your pick.
All right. So, I'm going to go with Aaron Judge. I think he's going to lead the offense again this year. I think he's going to have a really good season. He's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going You go first. I have to think about this one a little bit.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. You know what? You picked a Red Sox guy. I'm gonna pick a Red Sox guy. I'm gonna go Nate Eovaldi. I feel like he shines kind of like his 2018 prior self in opening day against Baltimore. You know, they're not really too strong of a lineup to face. I feel like this is going to be good for him to get back into the mojo for the season. I feel like he's just going to have a really good opening day start.
So I'm going to go for a starting pitcher. I'm going to go Lucas Giolito. Like I said, I think Chicago's going to have a pretty good season this year, and I honestly think they're going to start off quick this year. You're going to see him putting up some runs. You're going to see Giolito, you know, he's one of the best pitchers in the game. I just think Chicago's going to start off the season hot. They're going to go on a winning streak, and I think they're going to have good pitching alongside it. So that's why I have to pick Giolito.
Yeah, I mean, can't disagree there. You know, I'm not going to be surprised when Chicago takes over that division. You know, I feel like they're definitely sleepers. People are sleeping on them. I feel like they have a lot of potential, and Giolito is going to be, you know, the star of that rotation. He showed it last year, and he's definitely going to show it this year. So before we get into our final predictions, I feel like we should do some hot takes. We've kind of discussed some of them as the predictions went on. You know, if it could be, you know, a player hits this amount of home runs, or this team wins blank, or something like that. Whatever you want, as long as it's baseball related. Dylan, what do you think?
Hot takes. So the 60-game season, I think that JD Martinez in the 60-game season is going to hit 28 home runs.
Wow.
That's a lot of home runs in 60 games.
That's a lot of home runs for some people in the normal season.
But I think it's a really hot take.
Let me do the math here. What? So
28 divided by 60.
28 divided by 60. You have a calculator there. You do it as well.
So that's 46%.
So 40.
All right, I'm gonna say JD hits 25 home runs in 60 games.
25.
I think he can do
That's
it.
a little better.
You know, the
25.
Why do I say that? Because, you know, I don't know. That's just my take. 25 home runs in 60 games.
I mean, you know how many multi-home run games he's going to have? Like, if he's going to hit 25, he's going to have like 10 games where he hits 2, which would be insane, or something like that. Because, you know, that's a burning hot take, which I respect. Mine's going to be kind of more in the ballpark, per se. I feel like the San Diego Padres are going to be the #1 wild card for the NL, which as it comes out of my mouth, it's kind of hotter than I expected because the NL is very competitive, and I don't know if the Padres, you know, I feel like they're going to be hit or miss, but at their full potential, I feel like they can definitely be a very competitive team in the wild card. You know, but if not, you know, that's why it's a hot take. So let's do another round. Let's do one more round of these. What's your last hot take?
I think the Yankees are going to win the World Series this year. You know, I hate to say that, but they've been good for so long now, and I think they just have all the pieces. They just need Aaron Judge and Stanton to be healthy, and they'll be hitting the ball all day. You know, they still have a really strong bullpen. They still have, you know, Betances, Chapman. Who else am I missing? They're just a good team all around. You know,
Yeah.
Like we said, we think they're going to win the division. I hate to say it, but that's just who I think is going to win the World Series this year.
That's fair.
That's my hot take number 2.
you went from a burning hot take to a kind of a like a warmer, kind of more chill,
Yeah.
like relatable one. That's good. That's good. I'm gonna go the opposite of what you said about Mookie before. I feel like this season he's gonna have some trouble in his first season in LA. I feel like he's not gonna be himself. He's gonna have trouble adjusting. I don't see him doing his usual production out there in Los Angeles. So, obviously he could definitely hit like 30 home runs, and I could be wrong, but he's that type of guy. But a change of scenery can affect players a lot, especially when you're in a pandemic season with 60 games. Anything's on the table, and I feel like he's just gonna have trouble, playing through that. So that's my hot take number 2. All right. Now, as we are about to wrap the show up, I feel like it's only right we get our World Series predictions. Obviously, Dylan kind of hinted at his before. We'll also get our MVPs. So, Dylan, let me get your NL World Series participant and your AL World Series participant. And then let me get your, obviously, the winner, and then your NL and AL MVP.
So I think the World Series this year is going to be Yankees-Dodgers. I don't want to see either team in the World Series this year, but definitely think the Dodgers are going to be the top dog again, especially with the Mookie Betts edition has a lot to do with it. And then I think the Yankees, like I said, they've been really strong for so long now. I think if they're going to win a World Series, this is the year they have to do it, because I think it's only going to go downhill after this season for the Yankees. So, and then National League MVP, I think it's going to be Acuna Jr. again. Like you said, he's just the man. He can do it all. So young, he has power, speed. He can just do everything. So I definitely have him for my NL MVP. And then you go.
So yeah, I definitely agree with you about New York. I have, you know what? Actually, this is a Red Sox podcast. Even if it's the easy pick, I'm not gonna put the Yankees in the World Series. I can't let my heart do it. So I'm gonna put more of a surprise pick. I'm gonna put Atlanta in Oakland in the World Series. I think Atlanta wins in 6 games. Obviously, this is gonna be very wrong by the time. Probably in 2 weeks, both teams could have losing records. So we'll see about that. But my NL MVP, it's gonna be, like I said before, Acuna Jr. I feel like he's gonna lead the NL in a lot of categories. He's gonna lead the Braves to another division title. For AL, I'm gonna go Trout. Obviously, he's won it before plenty of times. The easy pick, the easy way out, but it's definitely the predictable, safe bet. So,
yeah, I still haven't said my AL MVP yet, but I'm going to go Trout too.
Yeah.
Because I think Trout by far is like the best player in the game, and he has been for years now. And I think this is the year he wins an MVP.
Yeah, definitely going to do some damage in LA.
But the thing about the Angels is they'll win MVP, but they're still not going to win ball games.
Yeah, that's true. kind of an unfortunate situation. Hopefully, you can squeeze into the playoffs, but it's
right.
Definitely going to be a lot of work. So I think that's about it for us tonight. Season about to get underway. Thank you to Dylan for coming onto the pod. We're glad to be back. Sox in 4, episode 19, brought to you by Ride the Wave Media. Follow us on MLB Hot Corner on Instagram for all updates about the podcast, highlights, articles, and much more. We're going to try to get the podcast going a lot more often as the season gets underway. Thank you for listening.
Right.
And
I just want to say, too, before we end it, we've been gone for a while with the podcast. This is the first podcast in I don't know how long.
yeah.
But, I'm really glad to be doing this again. And we're gonna make it a weekly thing this year. Dan texted me a few days ago saying let's get the podcast going again, and I was like 100%, let's do it. So hopefully next time we'll try and bring Brandon on for the next podcast too. And then we have some other guys. We have Matt Marini, and then my brother Ryan McDonald is part of the page as well. So we'll try and get them on some podcasts. And yeah, I'm really excited for the future. I'm really excited for this season. MLB Hot Corner's been on the way up for a while now. We had a really good off season this year. We gained a lot of followers on the page, so definitely glad to be back. You'll see a lot more of us in the future.
Exactly. Couldn't say it better myself. All right, for Dylan, I'm Dan Allison, and that'll do it. Peace.
Have a good night.